Welcome to Party Girl Interrupted. This is the podcast where we talk about identity, reinvention, healing, and what it looks like when the life that you've built no longer feels like the one that you're meant to live. I'm your host, Kathy Wong. Today's guest is Andrea Isabelle Lucas. She is the founder of Barre Soul, author of the book Own It All, about not waiting for permission to radically reinvent yourself. She's a founder, entrepreneur, speaker, badass mama, and friend. Andrea has spoken openly about becoming a young mom, surviving domestic violence, finding healing through movement, and creating a business that impacts thousands of women. On the podcast, we talk a lot about interruptions. We talk about those moments when life stops going according to plan and you have to become someone new. And I think you know a thing or two about that. Welcome to the podcast, Andrea.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay. So happy that we got to drop in a couple nights ago, and we were both kind of trying to save our stories for the podcast. And so before we go back through your story, your incredible story and journey, I just want to check in with you today and see, how's Andrea doing today?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful and excited to be here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been so fun getting to know you and so hard to not dive into this conversation early. So I'm excited now that we can go all the places we've been holding back.
And so what are you creating now in this season? I know we're obviously going to talk more about all the journey and the interruptions and everything, but in the moments that we met each other, we met through our friend Mia, who was my first guest on the podcast, which was really cool, and then had a mutual say that we had to meet each other. So it's just, life's just been putting us in the same direction. And then of course, Summit with you and your wonderful partner. Shout out to Jeremy. What are you creating in this season right now?
This is an incredible season for me. Having been a young mom, I am actually having this opportunity after spending my whole adult life taking care of myself and my kids and growing a business to make sure that we would all be financially taken care of. I am finally getting a chance to really reap the benefits and the rewards of years of hard work. Also just the satisfaction of seeing my kids grown and heading out into the world and doing their thing, and finally getting a chance to revisit some of the things that I didn't get to do in my 20s and 30s that now I get to do with the wisdom and the budget of a grown ass adult.
Yeah, that adult money. I wanted to talk about now before just jumping into the past, because I think you have such an impressive resume.
Yeah.
And it's very inspirational, obviously. You know, I did prep and I read parts of your book. I saw that, you shared stages now with Michelle Obama and Billie Jean King. So going back to the beginning of the story, your first major identity, you just spoke, I kind of listed off the professional resume, but your first major identity was becoming a mother at such a young age. So what did that ask of you?
Yeah, that was a very unexpected interruption, if you will, in my early life. And it's interesting because I grew up really with a lot of pressure to be extraordinary and to do extraordinary things. So honestly, I was so naive at 19 when I became a mom. I never considered that meant I wouldn't do great things with my life. Wow. I just assumed I would still do everything that I was made for on this planet. And I have always continued to pursue having a great life. And certainly being a mom so young, it just had me grow up really early. And I definitely came from a background where I had to hustle and make my own way if I was going to have the extraordinary life that I wanted. So I became very entrepreneurial, including just becoming a stripper. As soon as I turned 18, that was something that I did because I wanted to figure out how to be in control of my financial freedom. And it taught me a lot, and it actually was the most fun job that I've ever had. I would honestly go back. But yeah, I definitely got really strategic, and I think, being a mom makes you have to be really intentional with your time.
Right.
So I had to be really strategic about what I was doing, and I was just really responsible from a very young age. And if anything, I think now I'm working on being a little more playful. I like to think that I've had a very fun and playful life, but I certainly now, when I think about now to the rest of my life, I want to inspire people by how much of a rascal that I can be and how much silliness and play and joy and beauty that I can really play in now.
Yeah. You have this really grounded kind of badass confidence that you carry, you know, and I've got to experience time with you and in the playful settings, but also like getting to know you and follow your entrepreneurial journey. And you really do kind of keep, how would I say, state and church separate? Is that how you would say that? Is that how you say that, church and state? You kind of keep church and state separated. How have you learned to do that as an entrepreneur?
That's a great question. I think that when I was growing my business and I was more the face of it, I was a lot more worried about what people thought and what kind of an image that I was projecting.
Yeah.
I think that giving myself the freedom, at least on the like on social media and in terms of like my personal brand, I don't focus on promoting my business as much because I really want to be free to express myself, my opinions, my playful side, not in a way that is necessarily representing, I always represent the business, but it's kind of like when they say that, you know, the opinions on this program don't necessarily reflect whatever. It's like, I'm not saying that that's what the business is at this point. My studios are on the East Coast and I'm on the West Coast. Obviously I am the founder and my values are driving what is behind the business. And I think freeing myself from really promoting anything in my public presence is giving me the space for self-expression. But I also think I'm just at an age and at a point in my life where I can't not express myself.
Yeah, beautiful. And then to your first time at Burning Man was last year.
Yes.
Let's chat a little bit about Burning Man. You're heading we have a little side quest, but can we talk about your first burn? I really do want to hear your experience as, you know, older now, like what that would have looked like if you were in your 20s, I guess.
If I was in my 20s, I probably couldn't afford like an RV or air conditioning at Burning Man, and I would be sweating in a tent. Who knows what that would have looked like. And what a joy to be able, and I know that it, you know, Burning Man's been around forever and it's evolving all the time, and I'm just stepping in during this iteration of what it's become. But my experience at Burning Man is just like space for your inner child to just play and enjoy and play and exploration and wonder with everybody else's inner child. You're literally riding bikes with your friends all day.
It's the best.
And everybody wants to be your friend. It's just the loveliest, most beautiful, magical experience.
You're heading back this year too,
yes,
right?
I can't wait.
We're going to talk about Burning Man. We got to talk about Summit. So thankful to Summit because obviously brought us again together. But again, we were meant to meet. The universe was putting us on the same path. And so was that your first summit?
That was my second summit, my first summit at sea. It was my birthday on the boat. The bar has been set so high for every birthday forever now. And I have to say, like, you know, going through most of my adult life in Boston, I had an experience there of never quite finding my people. And I think like when I went to conferences and I networked with other entrepreneurs, I felt so connected and I felt a sense of camaraderie that I didn't really have in my day-to-day life of just like being a mom in the suburbs of Boston. And now that I am in LA, I can't believe how much I found my people in such a short time. And I think within 3 months, I had more friends here than I ever had in like 16 years in the town that I lived in Boston. And that's nothing against it at all. It's beautiful and it served its purpose in terms of growing the business and raising the kids. And I think Summit has been just the most aligned community of entrepreneurs that I've ever found. And I think the presence of Summit in LA as a community is so strong. It's like any given week, you've got an opportunity to connect with these like-minded, playful, spiritual, conscious entrepreneurs who just are really on the same wavelength. And it's such a blessing.
Yeah, definitely the word playful ties exactly to Summit for me. And the realization, I was talking to somebody that was just in Singapore and, you know, puts into there's 200 million Summit group chats, but put in like, I'm in Singapore, and then goes and ends up becoming like their best friend because we're all over the place. We're everywhere, you know. I'm moving to San Diego. There's actually a really great chapter of Summit in San Diego. So we're never alone. And I think that's really important. Let's circle back to community. Actually, I want to talk a little bit about the community that you're intentionally building here, Hard House, right?
Yeah. So being a yoga studio owner for so many years, I've had my business for 13 years. I'm used to having this role as like a community gatherer and someone who holds space for community. And, you know, it's a grind. Like, I have over 80 employees. Like there's always someone calling out or, you know, last minute or something happening at one of the studios. to be able to hold space without the pressure of it being a business and dealing with the operations and the employment side of that is so beautiful. So at first, when I came to LA, it was amazing to be invited to so many things. I'm so blessed and so lucky. And I sort of found myself in this plus one energy where it's like I was always waiting to be invited rather than being in my main character energy of being the one who makes the invitation.
Right.
And so I got this idea of having a home and sharing it with other like-minded community members, and then having it be a space that we open up as really like a home temple where it is a conscious space to gather and just be able to pour back into the community that I've gotten so much from in just a year and a half of being in LA.
Yeah. And so then that's in Venice, right? I actually did get to stop by. Very warm. Like, there's a lot of warmth and like beautiful feminine energy. Are you hosting events out of the house?
Yes.
Well,
So something that we started is just a rhythm of doing a full moon party that has a little bit of ceremony, but mostly it's just about celebrating the full moon together in co-ed community, and then doing these new moon circles that are a little more quiet, a little deeper, a little bit more ceremonial in nature, just for the women.
Yeah, I love that. Circling back to, you becoming a mother and then being able to kind of reinvent yourself, entrepreneurial as a dancer. You went from that season into a relationship that you described as abusive. How did you manage? How did you navigate that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I loved in the intro when you talked about life not going as you expected or planned. And I just think, thank God. And I always have thought, thank God that situation got bad enough that I had to leave, because what I had planned was nothing compared to the amazing life that I've had instead. And, I thought that I had a secure future with someone who was financially successful. I was on track to maybe be a women's studies professor, PhD. That was something that I wanted, which is awesome. It's a beautiful goal. And I really was settling for security in a situation that was not fulfilling for my soul and was turned out to be obviously not at all even healthy or safe. And things got so bad that I literally fled the house late at night and had to pound on my neighbor's door. And had they not gotten that bad, where I would have had to expose what was happening to a neighbor and like really be forced to confront it, I might have really settled for a life that was so not the life that was meant for me. So as much as that was challenging, I've never felt anything but gratitude that
so powerful.
It pushed me out of a situation that may have seemed safe. Obviously wasn't, but I'm just always really eager to share my story with others, because I know there's a lot of shame and a lot of isolation when people find themselves in these situations. There's a lot of self-blame, and I think it's not about self-blame, it's about self-responsibility. And just like once you get to choose what you're going to do next, and you take the next available option that might feel scary and might feel like a risk, but it's the one you can take. And it could be one little baby step at a time. But I really want people to know that I went on to build such an amazing life for myself. And it didn't come easily, because I don't ever want someone to look at my success or anyone else's and think, well, I could never have that. They had something I didn't have. They had a privilege that I didn't have. I mean, we all have privilege, but I want people to know that whatever you're dealing with, you can overcome it. You just have to keep taking baby steps toward the life that you know is meant for you.
100%. That's so beautiful. And it's courage. I'm so proud of you for having the courage and the vulnerability to leave and then turn around and share, because you do talk a lot about, ending the stigma and the shame around that survival. What is something somebody I asked this question, and I also have had my own experience, but what is something that people misunderstand about being in an abusive relationship?
Something that I think is important is, I once heard the statistic, it takes an average of 7 times to leave an abusive relationship. So I think not beating yourself up, or if you have a loved one that's in a difficult situation, just know every time that they leave, it's like one down. You're one step closer, and it, especially logistically, and especially if there's children involved, it is incredibly challenging to leave a situation like that. And it takes often many tries. So just not giving up on yourself and not giving up on your loved ones, and having the compassion that it's not that simple, it's not that cut and dried to just be able to walk away the first time.
What kind of support did you have, I guess, in these interruptions or in these transitions of your life, whether becoming a mom, being in a domestic abusive relationship? What kind of support did you have?
I definitely, when it came to leaving that relationship,
Mm,
I leaned on crisis centers. And that's something
okay.
that I was so grateful was available to me. And you can pick up the phone and someone on the other end will help you make a game plan
Mm-hmm.
and give advice. And sometimes that advice isn't like pack up all your shit and leave right now. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, let's be strategic.
Right.
How do we get you out of this
Yeah.
situation? But there is so much support available in terms of crisis centers.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that is very near and dear to my heart. In my studios, we give free class passes out to all our local crisis centers just
Oh,
because
wow.
movement was such a healing
Yeah.
part of my journey and being in community with other women. And that's something that I'm so happy to be able to extend
Yeah.
and support those that are doing this amazing work and the folks that need, the support that are in
Yeah.
crisis.
So you not only just left a life, you built something entirely new, interruption into purpose. When did bar start feeling like something? Let's talk about Barre
Mm-hmm.
Soul. When did bar start feeling like something more than just an exercise? Because you do talk about movement as healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to say that when I was going through leaving that situation, like it was probably the gnarliest time of my life. And that hour of being in class, moving my body and
Mm,
having that mindfulness and that
mm,
present moment experience is the only time I could get out of my head. And like I felt so noticeably better after an hour of that.
mm-hmm,
Also, I started to see the cumulative effects of my body changing and getting
mm-hmm,
stronger and like seeing physical evidence that I can change
mm-hmm,
and that I have the power through repeated action to change myself
mm-hmm.
and change my situation was so powerful. And I started teaching just as a part-time job for like whatever, just for some extra income while I figured out what I was really going to do with my
Yeah, yeah,
life.
yeah.
And I had this epiphany in class one day. I had always wanted to be a women's studies professor and I was so passionate about women's empowerment. Like,
Right.
wait, a fitness studio is almost like a church. People come every week,
Yep.
they're never done.
Yep.
And if you bake in positive messaging, if you can bake in inspiration and empowerment and create a culture
Mm-hmm.
and community that is supporting and empowering each other, what an incredible platform to be
Mm-hmm.
able to do my work in the world.
I love that. I resonate a lot where you're talking about like becoming physically strong. How did that affect you emotionally?
I think it just really created self-efficacy where,
Oh.
I really saw that I was capable of creating change for myself
Mm-hmm.
and that devoting time to myself was paying off and was transforming me from the inside out.
What was the earliest moment that you realized that it was a company?
Mm. When I got my dream job actually, and I had a fork in the road. I had
Okay.
an opportunity to buy a studio that really wasn't financially performing
Mm-hmm.
or to take a secure job with a company. I
Mm.
took the secure job and I think people shouldn't beat themselves up
Mm-hmm.
for again, it's about taking the biggest risk that you can stomach right now. I
Okay.
wasn't ready for a
Powerful.
studio and then I got that job. It gave me a lot of confidence
Mm.
and the financial stability that I needed for a while. And then when I reached a point of burnout with that after only a year and a half,
Mm-hmm.
at first I started to beat myself up like, oh, why am I getting bored
Mm.
so quickly? And I did a session with a executive coach who helped me see that I was actually an entrepreneur and that it was normal that I was going to get bored
Yeah.
and need to create something new and hand it off and create something new and hand it off.
Mm-hmm.
So leaning into that, it helped that there was some pressure because I was so highly trained in bar, which was actually very niche at the time when I learned it.
Okay.
It started blowing up and becoming
Right.
mainstream.
Right.
And I realized that studios were going to start popping up on every corner
Mm-hmm.
and it could be someone else's or it could be mine. And
Mm.
so that pushed me to take the leap before I felt completely ready. And I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah. What did the success from that give you?
Hmm. Honestly, yeah, it's interesting. I am so glad that I financially needed to hustle and work hard to build something for myself
Mm.
because it really showed me what I'm capable of creating.
Mm-hmm.
I've been learning on the job every single day, including today. Like now I'm
Okay.
in a phase of my business where I'm learning what happens when you want to exit in a number of years. How do you
Right.
start
Right.
preparing a company for that? I don't know
Mm.
anything about this. I'm finding out like as a total beginner,
Yeah.
and so there's been a lot of starting before I was ready, taking the micro step that I could
Mm.
take at that moment, and then trusting that somebody knows how to do this and I just have to find them and,
Right.
and that I can learn.
So I wanted to talk to you specifically a little bit about the identity of the strong woman.
Mm.
So this past year for me, was a hard year, probably one of my toughest in terms of going through, a breakup, a move across the country, grief. I had health problems, building this platform, imposter syndrome, writing a book,
Mhm.
and I'm so grateful that I've been able to, keep going and create through it all. But I've also had to wonder if I haven't maybe used that strength as a type of survival mode. Have you ever felt like your strength was maybe like almost like a mask, or that it was an identity that was hard to put down?
Mm. I think that there's a different energy when you are in true creativity
Mhm.
versus when you're in strategy and
Mm.
survival.
Yeah.
And like during the pandemic, like my business was, in dire
Yeah.
straits for years, and the
Wow.
amount of stress, and like I thought I was being creative
Mhm.
when I was coming up with pivots, right?
Right, right.
And they really were, survival strategies.
Yeah.
And as we started to come out of the pandemic and I began to be able to actually create again, and to be like, ooh, wouldn't it be
Mm.
awesome if, wouldn't it be fun
Mm.
if, what if we did this? How
Yeah.
fun could that be?
Mhm.
Like, I think there's a huge difference in that energy. And I think noticing how that feels in your body
Yeah.
when you're creating something, it's like, am I strategizing from a place of control and fear?
Mhm.
Or am I actually ideating from a place of joy and creativity? For me, that's been helpful to be able to really feel the difference in
That
my body.
that's super. That's so much for me because I do feel I think a lot of times I use strength as a shield, and so I never really thought about it like be just thinking about creating it from like more joy. It's become when it becomes a chore is when I have to start to question: is this really what
Yeah.
am I creating from the right place? So I love that answer. Thank you. It's
Mm.
easy just to like distract or use my projects and my creations as ways to maybe kind of close off,
Yep.
whether that's still like love or new opportunities.
Hmm.
But yeah, just remembering to create from a place of joy. What would you say your purpose is on this earth?
I think my purpose on this earth is to help others get in touch with the divinity inside of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been really passionate about women's rights, about LGBTQ rights.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that drive and that passion just comes from this deep conviction that every single person is holy. Every single
Mm-hmm.
person is worthy. No one is more worthy or more important than
Mm-hmm.
anybody else. And being able to know and feel and experience that worthiness and that holiness and that divinity within oneself,
Mm-hmm.
that is the thing that I feel the most inspired to create and cultivate with my impact.
Yeah. What is your source of, how do I ask this? How do I ask what you're like, what do you have faith in? How do I ask that question? I don't want it
I
to be
don't know.
religious.
It's okay if it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you have faith in?
Mm. I have faith in the holiness of
Mm-hmm.
life, the
Mm-hmm.
universe, of every single human being. I believe that we're all part of the same thing. I believe that we're all
Mm-hmm.
connected. I believe that wherever we came from before
Mm-hmm.
we were alive is where we go back to when we're
Yeah.
done. I don't know
Yeah.
what that is, but I know it's all part of the same
Yeah.
beautiful soup. And I just
I like that.
feel so in awe and grateful and
Mm-hmm.
honored to be here now and in this infinite connection with everything else that I get the honor and the privilege to
Yeah.
experience life with.
So you wear a lot of hats, obviously, and so one that is newer to you, you shared. I saw you wearing a beautiful outfit at Petite, and then I believe this is one of your pieces.
Yes, this
Yes.
skirt is part of the House of Soul collection that I'm working on. What's really fun is I'm doing it just for funsies, not because I
Yeah.
need to scale it or because
Yeah.
this needs to take me into retirement or it's like so fun to be able to create from that place
Yeah.
of like I wanted these beautiful skirts,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was like I need to create this thing that I want, and
Mm-hmm.
if I want it and I love it, other people are going to want and love
Yeah.
and have to get their hands on it too.
And the way you describe it too is just the femininity of it. Like it's flowy. I think you said you could wear it over leggings, you could wear
Yeah.
it over pants, and you can still just see the shape of the feminine form, and that's really, really beautiful. What else are we creating, or is there anything else on the list?
I would say, really hosting events is really big for
Mm-hmm.
me right now. I also love public speaking, and I love sharing my story.
Mm-hmm.
I love connecting with other people. I love having people come up to me after and share their
Mm-hmm.
story and what it is that they're navigating.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting on more stages, more podcasts, that just
Mm-hmm.
brings me so much joy.
I think of you and your partner as just like this playful, happy, gorgeous duo. Whenever I see you guys are just like so cohesive. We chatted a little bit about, because when I saw the dynamic, we're all out on Saturday, that he is that kind of extrovert and you're a little bit more like you have to be invited, kind of maybe more on the introvert side or needing to be recharged. How can we talk a little bit about you two?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
How have you found that balance? And also, I guess, how did you attract such a kind of perfect counterpart to your femininity?
Honestly, I think it was divine intervention. And I think that something that, when I moved to LA, I had raised 2 kids, I had grown a business, and the biggest, most unfulfilled part of my life was truly finding a partner that deeply resonates with me on a soul level, someone that can challenge me, someone whose wisdom I really trust and respect, someone whose life philosophy really is, goes beautifully with mine, and just someone that I feel like an incredible polarity and balance
Yeah.
with. Neither of us were actually looking for a partnership when we started dating. Like we were, I was just freshly moved to LA. I was like just looking to have fun and redo my 20s.
Yeah.
And we just happened into a really, really beautiful and very powerful chemistry and connection. And, what I love about Jeremy is he's someone who has traveled the world, had a very significant interruption with his chronic health journey with Lyme disease and other health issues. And he just really appreciates the preciousness of life and wants to experience everything possible. And, I think death awareness is something that we both share, like just that feeling of like, we don't have forever here, and being really intentional about what we want to do and how we want to live really fully.
Yeah.
Being with someone extroverted is so important to me. It's something that, as I started dating again, when I moved out here, I started to boil down my list of non-negotiables. And something that felt really important to me after all those years of being a little bit of a hermit and just building my business. And I really wanted to be with someone who's extremely extroverted, who could introduce me to people,
Right.
who, wants to be amongst it all the time. And like, he is that to the extreme even more than I am. Like getting him to leave the party is a challenge on a weekly basis. And I love that for him. No, his battery does not run out. I do need a little bit more of a recharge. And it's just been, kind of fun to figure out how we balance that out for each other. Like I think I need a little bit more intimacy and he needs a little bit more like adventure, and we get to just kind of like navigate and balance that. And it's something, because he's someone who's so self-aware, personal development oriented as I am, that it's been something we've totally been able to just kind of thoughtfully navigate together. And overall, I've never had so much fun with anyone in my life.
Yeah, I can tell you guys are always like bubbly when I see you guys, or wonderfully dressed up, great energy, so caring and sharing, and generally in the cuddle puddle. Like if I go to a party, I'm like, I think I'll find them in the cuddle puddle. What's some great relationship advice you can give, I guess, to the current generation? It's a very different dating world now.
I think working on yourself and being with someone that's willing to work on themselves is really, really important. So just knowing that you're with someone that's aligned in being able to grow. I think what's amazing is a lot of folks are doing personal development work on themselves, with themselves, and that has its place and it's really important. There's parts of ourselves that we're only ever going to see in the mirror of relationship with somebody else. So if someone is willing to be in personal growth with you, you're going to show each other the edges and the parts of yourself that you might have as blind spots otherwise. So I think like being with someone who's willing to look at their blind spots and willing to be responsible for them and willing to show up in willingness and openness to grow and learn more about themselves and meet you in that way is just the greatest gift that you could give to yourself and a partner.
Yeah, relationships are mirror. I feel like I'm sitting here with a big sister. It's the coolest feeling. So you've lived so many different lives in this one lifetime. Who are you becoming currently?
That is a great question. I feel like I'm finding out a little bit every day. Yeah. I don't know. I hope I keep finding out more and more. I think, running my business from across the country is obviously really interesting because it's having me step into a different level of leadership where I can't overfunction. I can't constantly take one for the team. Some of the things that I used to do as conditioned responses or maybe even like defense mechanisms to try to control things from a place of over functioning. That is something that I'm leaving behind and having to step into a greater level of a little more mature leadership. So I think seeing where I can go with that leadership in my business, but also in my relationships, in my leadership of self, in my community, like I said, holding space, events, public speaking, like really stepping into a little more mature and elevated version of myself as a leader.
We talk about, you having been a teen mom, you kind of like a cool mom. How is your relationship with your kids today?
The kids are amazing. I have 2 daughters, and one of my daughters is trans, and that's been something that only came up in the last few years. So that's been a really interesting journey, and like awesome to be able to get to know her better in that way and support her in that. My younger daughter, she's in Boston, my older one. My younger daughter is here in LA, at least for now. She's turning 20 next month, and she is doing some modeling. She's, exploring different things with school and figuring out where she wants to be. She wants to travel, and it's just been fun to be able to welcome her. She has her own place, but like into the Heart House community of all these beautiful women that I'm surrounded with, and that can all be kind of big sisters and mentors to her. Sometimes she's like the giver of the best relationship advice and the most mature wisdom in the house, which is beautiful to see. But she's also been doing all this amazing personal development work. Like, I'm so proud of her, the way that she's at this age. I can't even imagine if I started doing personal development at 19 years old instead of like in my 30s when I did. So I'm just so proud of my kids and so excited for them and the journey that they're on. My older daughter is really into music. She's amazing with kids, working with special needs kids and wanting to be a music teacher. She has an awesome partner that she lives with actually at my house that I still have in Boston. And it's just so rewarding and exciting to be able to see them off and doing their own thing.
It's amazing. And I'm sure you are their role model and superhero as well. It's a beautiful, beautiful journey. And I think there's so many times along those interruptions that you could have stopped, you could have given up, but you kept going. And now you're here. And in this new season that I get to meet, I'm very excited to have as a new friend. Anything that you want to ask me, anything that you want to share?
Okay. Yes. Let me think about that for a second.
Put me on the spot. Yeah, of course. Pause.
Okay.
Oh, one thing I didn't talk about, I didn't know how to address this, but because I have my mental health diagnosis. Did you ever suffer from anything mental health, or was it like in your presence?
I would say like.
Let me ask the question then.
I would say like not to a huge degree. My mom had severe mental health issues actually. I would love to ask you, like, what is your why behind this podcast? What made you want to write this book? And like, what are you hoping the impact of all of this will be? I ask myself that in the mirror every day.
But essentially my why is that I've always been a storyteller. In the short time that you've gotten to know me, I'm sure you've witnessed that. I was always a storyteller as a little kid. I was like always typing up notes. I've been journaling since I was little, but I've also always been very, very nosy and like wanting to know other people's stories, and not just like, the resume or like the front facing, but like, why do you do this? What is your purpose? And so I was working on a book for the last, I think I shared my story with coming from nightlife and everything. And the memoir eventually became all encompassing with not just, my party girl lifestyle, but also the diagnosis, my bipolar diagnosis, which interrupted me and then led me to my own personal development story. And so I believe that everybody on this earth has a purpose. Everybody has a talent or a skill or something that they're meant to do. They're meant to be. And a lot of times we get stuck in, whether it's what society tells us that we want, whether it's burnout, pivot, maybe as entrepreneurs, grief, loss, divorce, anything that interrupts you really. And I think some of the greatest stories like yourself are the ones that when life doesn't go according to plan, interrupted, that you still are able to find your purpose, whether and get like there's strong stories, there are vulnerable stories, they're entertaining, I guess, but more than anything, they're motivating and they're inspirational. And so Party Girl Interrupted is a platform for those stories, for people to come and share and inspire and motivate each other. And for me to honestly just sit here and listen and and be the ear and the platform for everybody. And it just like you said though, like every day it's me also figuring out like what is next. But learning to, I love that you said earlier, create from a place of joy and playfulness, and the nitty gritty of all of this stuff with the editing and all the background stuff isn't as fun, but it's also, it makes it one cohesive thing. And it's that platform that I'm really, really, really proud of building. So thank you for asking. It's good. It's like a good reminder every day. Like, if you were to say my purpose on earth is, I think every day I try to remind myself what that is to be the storyteller. So thank you. I'm going to do, so finally, some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So actually, this is so funny because I was thinking of our friend Ben Glebe. Shout out to Ben Glebe, host of Make It a Good Night, which I know that you're a big part of that project as well. And he does the rapid fire questions, and it cracks me up. I don't know if I want to spill the when he asked that last question. It's such a deep, profound question, and it always stumps.
Yeah. And he has the buzzer to tell people if their answer is correct or incorrect.
It's like, should I get a jingle? Should I get
Yes.
So I think it's so funny. But yes, shout out to Ben Glebe over at Make It a Good Night. You guys go ahead and check that out. I'll plug it in the show notes. But here's some rapid fire questions. Okay. I feel like I know the answer to this one. Rapid fire question round. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Bar or dancing?
Dancing.
Most used emoji?
A red heart.
What is your most underrated form of self-care?
Okay, rapid fire. Underrated form of self-care.
You've got time. You're good.
Okay, wait, but it's rapid fire.
I know.
Okay.
We'll edit it.
Underrated form of self-care. I'm just trying to think of something.
Mine would be like, sorry.
Oh, wait, go ahead.
I'd be like, no phone before bed. I've been trying to do that. But that's.
I would say blocking out time in your calendar to not have appointments or not do work.
Yeah. Very powerful, especially as a super entrepreneur. What instantly puts you in a good mood?
Drag queens.
Ooh, I love that. What would your younger self be most proud of?
How much fun I'm having.
Yeah. I love that. And then finally, I finished the sentence. I feel most myself when?
Honestly, when I dress to express, like really when I put thought and care into what I'm wearing and how I'm showing up. I just feel like life is a special occasion and I feel the best when I'm dressed for a special occasion.
Yeah. Sidebar, could I ask, do you feel like women dress for women or men? I just had this, heard this podcast about that. Women dress for women.
I think it's both, and hopefully for yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's both.
Yeah, awesome. Alrighty. And speaking about being expressive and creative, playful, all the things, wanted to show you this, our photo together at your birthday at Summit. Look at us. This
is how I knew we were going to be friends. We were so on the same wavelength here.
Oh my God, at the bubbles at Summit. And so happy to have you on. So happy to have met you, really, just the way the universe has been conspiring to bring us together. And
me too.
Looking forward to friendship and all the good things to come.
I'm so grateful as well. Thank you.
And if anyone wants to find you, your work, the studio, all your things, where can they find you?
Honestly, my studios are called Barre Soul. It's barresoul.com. And if you want to follow me, just go to my Instagram, Andrea Isabelle Lucas.
Awesome. And the website, right?
Yes, I have a website as well. It has my speaking information on there as well. And I'm always overjoyed to do public speaking podcasts. And I just love talking to amazing people like you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead, like, follow, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for listening to Party Girl Interrupted. I'll see you next week. Better, right? Bye. And speaking about being expressive and creative, playful, all the things, wanted to show you this, our photo together at your birthday at Summit. Look at us.
This is how I knew we were going to be friends. We were so.
Oh my God, at the bubbles at Summit. And So happy to have you on. So happy to have met you, really, just the way the universe has been conspiring to bring us together. And
Me too.
Looking forward to friendship and all the good things to come.
So grateful as well. Thank you.
And if anyone wants to find you, your work, the studio, all your things, where can they find you?
Honestly, my studios are called Barre Soul. It's barresoul.com. And if you want to follow me, just go to my Instagram, Andrea Isabelle Lucas.
And the website, right?
Yes, I have a website as well. It has my speaking information on there as well. And I'm always overjoyed to do public speaking podcasts. And yeah, I just love talking to amazing people like you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead, like, follow, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for listening to Party Girl Interrupted. I'll see you next week. Better, right? Bye. Can you do a twirl? Sorry, can you do a twirl real quick? Right, there we go. Wait, can we look at the fit? Can we look at the fit?